Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Sue.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm your host, Eric Sue.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about how you can get testimonials from your customers. So, Neil, why are testimonials so important and what have they done for your business?
Testimonials are an element of proof in which someone is saying something good about your business, and it helps convince other people on if they should be doing business with you or buying your product or buying your service, etc. The reason you want testimonials is it's much more powerful for someone else to say, wow, Neil's business or Eric's business is awesome, and you have to use Eric's service, versus Eric saying, my company's awesome, you should pay me money, right? Just think about that. If your friend told you to hire Eric, isn't that much more effective than Eric telling you to hire himself? Of course it is. And that's why you want testimonials.
To give everyone examples, you've probably seen this overdone on the web now, especially if you're in the tech space. You look at web applications out there, a lot of them on the homepage, they'll have testimonials and they'll also have company badges as well. So it's, literally a row of badges of companies that they've worked with. So these all add to validation. And you can easily Google a lot of conversion rate optimization studies around testimonials. So you can just literally Google it and you'll find a few studies out there. Now, I think one of the things when we more tactical would be one thing you can do, I talked about in the previous episode, is using a tool like Yes Insights, which will allow you to basically email your list and they can basically, for example, you can first ask them for feedback around, your service or your product. So, how happy are you with our service? And it might be like a simple, very happy or not happy at all. And after they click that, you can have an extra box that will ask for a testimonial. So basically, once they click that, it'll take them to another page, and then they can enter in their testimonial there. So that's one way you can do it. Another way, obviously, is going to your current customers that are 100% happy. You turn to them and then ask them, what they can say, say about your business. That's very simple and to the point. So I think those are two quick tactics you can start on. I do want to, dive back into a conversation around testimonials in a second. But Neil, what are some other tactics?
The simplest way, and this is the only tactic that I use to get testimonials, is I email people saying, hey, I want feedback. So it doesn't matter if you have a product or service. You say, I want feedback. We want to improve and we want to make your experience better. Can you please give us feedback? And that way we can make sure everyone's happier with our business, right? Of course, we're using better copy than that, but that's the gist of it. You'll get some people giving you feedback. What we found is when you email out 100 people, roughly 3 of them will give you feedback, 10 if you have a really low audience, but you should get at least 3 on the low end. Now, when you get negative feedback, you want to work and improve those things, especially if you're getting consistent negative feedback, because if you solve that, chances are you'll eventually make more sales because people will be happier, and that'll increase word-of-mouth marketing. For the people who are happier or who are happy, I email them back with either 2 things. One, if what they wrote to me is good enough to turn into a testimonial, I'll say something like, hey, Bob, thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Would you mind if I use what you gave me as a testimonial? They'll either say yes or no, and usually everyone says yes. Now, if they give you positive feedback, but it's not in a form that it could be a testimonial, then I email them and I say, hey, Bob, love the feedback, and I'm glad that you're happy. Is there any way that we can turn this into a testimonial? Of course, I'll mention your name and your company when I do so, and this will give you some great press as well. And that way with Bob or whoever it may be, you can craft it into the right type of testimonial that you can use within your marketing material. That's how I mainly get my testimonials. It's simple, it's easy, and it works.
Neil, what kind of conversion lists have you seen from going testimonial versus no testimonial?
It's funny, you see a lot of studies how people are increasing their sales by 20, 30, 40%. That's all bullshit, because if your conversions go up by that much, there's typically something else wrong with your website, your copy, your messaging. But usually I don't see lifts greater than 10%. Anything more than 10% is really hard. It's usually a lot smaller than that. The key with testimonials is you won't see a huge conversion lift, but instead what you'll see is everyone who was somewhat iffy on using your product, your service, it can help push them over the fence and get them to sign up, right? And that's the main reason we see it. And you'll get some feedback when you just survey around people. Oh, I'm not sure if this is right for us. I don't know if I'm going to be happy. I've been burned before. There's a lot of people who are still like that on the internet. So when you have the testimonials, it helps convert those people into buyers.
What I also really like in terms of not only getting a testimonial, this is kind of piggybacking off my original answer, but doing something around the Net Promoter Score. So you can just type in on Google Net Promoter Score to find out what it is exactly. But basically the question is, how likely are you on a scale of 1 to 10 to recommend my product or service to somebody else? Now, on a scale of 1 to 6, these are your detractors. So these are people that are giving you a negative score. Anyone that's giving you a 7 or 8, that means they're in the middle, they're kind of neutral, and then 9 or 10s, these are your promoters. And companies are rated from negative 100 to 100 on an overall score at the end of the day. But, that's great. You get your Net Promoter Score. But at the very end, it's always very important to ask directly, do you have anything else to say or any other feedback that you can give us? And then you can kind of go down Neil's route where you can ask people if you can use the testimonial or not. And Neil, I think it's very important that you ask people too, right? Or else you can get in trouble.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of really funny. With testimonials, it's really important that you ask them because you can get in trouble. With logos, I had one investor, and he's also an entrepreneur, a really smart guy. I'm not going to mention his name. But the feedback that he gave was when it comes to logos, at least, these aren't testimonials. This is just showcasing a company's logos on your website. He's like, it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Because when you have logos of really huge companies, it's a nightmare to get approval to use their logos. It's just easier to use them. They rarely ever care. And then when they do care, they'll send a legal notice asking you to remove it. And that's fine at that point. You're just like, oh, sorry, I know you guys are happy. I thought you guys wouldn't mind. And it gives you guys free press, and then you just remove it. And they don't really care. I've never had a company being like, I want to stop paying you because of that. But with testimonials, I never use them without permission. It can create way too many issues because some people, believe it or not, even though you can give them more press, more traffic, they don't want their name out there. Because what will happen is if your site's popular, when you Google their name, it'll show up, and just some people don't like that.
Yeah, and you don't want to also you don't want to make up testimonials too. And I've seen testimonials made up before, and people can see it from a mile away when they're being deceived. And I know, Neil, one time I think somebody else was using your name out there. We're not going to name names here, but I think you caught it, and it wasn't a really good experience at the end of the day. What happened there?
Yeah, you just get them to stop, and I just take them down. Funny enough, I've had way worse than that. The worst I ever had was a company sold a digital course and a product. And this was a big company. They do around like $75 to $100 million a year. They sold a digital course with my name, and they printed it. The whole website had my face on it, email copy, and it was pretty much Neil Patel's course that teaches you content marketing, and they didn't have my approval. And they just blasted out, I think it was 800,000 people that the email went out to. They didn't go out to their full list, but I caught it in advance. And people started emailing me like, Neil, I'm mad. Why do I have to be on a waiting list to buy your product? I'm like, what product am I even selling? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I found out the company was just using my name and selling it. And they're like, oh, we thought you would be okay with this. I'm like, why would I be okay with this?
Yeah, and so just be careful out there when you're searching for testimonials, and if you feel desperate to, make one up, you probably don't want to do it because there are legal ramifications behind it. Neil just happens to be a really nice guy. So I think that's enough about testimonials. There are things to avoid, and we gave you some tactics on what to look out for. So we'll see you in tomorrow's episode of Marketing School.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.